What's up, guys? I am back. And if this is your first time tuning into my podcast, you're probably wondering, well, this is your first podcast. How are you back? But for everyone that's returning, you guys have probably listened to me on some other platform or another podcast. And you guys know that I've taken about a 6-month hiatus from being on any type of podcast. But over the last 6 months, I've done a lot, and specifically the last couple weeks, I've just been itching to get back on the mic. So here I am. There is a lot of things that I'd like to catch you guys up on, especially for a lot of the followers that know me on the precision rifle side of the house. But specifically, I'm doing this podcast probably mainly for me to get all of these thoughts out of my head. And hopefully it just allows you, to provide some value to you guys, the listeners. Again, whether it's precision rifle related, life related, anything other than just what I'm known for. And I think that's a big reason why I got burnt out, is because I feel like I have a lot more to talk about other than just, my precision rifle knowledge, which, nowadays I feel like doesn't even scratch the surface to what a lot of shooters out there have, especially with the access to information out there. At the end of the day, I miss being on the mic, and again, hopefully, this podcast or me jumping back on here allows me to reconnect with my audience. There's a lot of you from the time that I stopped doing podcasts to now, when I ran into at matches, private DMs, emails. You guys have truly appreciate all the support that you've given me, and still following me to this day, and just the positive feedback that you guys, and taking the time to come up and introduce yourself at a competition, those small things, it really helps. So hopefully I can continue to provide value to whatever journey you guys are on. And if I'm just killing time on the road while you guys are, doing long drives for work or getting ready to go to a match, hopefully, again, it just allows you to, kill some time. But if you're new to my page, my name is Phillip Velayo, and I'm going to try a 5-minute bio, because I don't really like to talk about myself. And yeah. So anyways, without further ado, Phillip Velayo, my first name is actually Emmanuel. I'm not sure too many people know that, but middle name is Phillip. That's what I go by by my family, and that's what I've always gone by. Don't ask me why, but born and raised in Anchorage, Alaska, to a Filipino family. Both my mom and dad are Filipino. My mom's family immigrated from the Philippines in the 70s to Alaska, and I've got a huge family up there. First generation American. Me and my cousins and my sister, but spent 16 years up there. Again, very traditional, family, Filipino family. A lot of holidays, a lot of gatherings, get-togethers, Filipino food, you name it. When I was 16, my parents wanted to get out of Alaska and move to Las Vegas, so we did that. From 16 to 18, my parents ended up getting a divorce. My sister, so I've got one older sister. She lives in Boise, but she joined the Navy at that point in time, and I was left kind of at home by myself to my own devices. So at 18 years old, I decided to join the Marine Corps because I couldn't be at home anymore. Just one of those kind of like teenage things where it's like I need to prove something to myself. But I'm sure I'll peel back the layers more as the podcast goes on, or this podcast show goes on. And then when I joined the Marine Corps, I decided to become an infantryman, because that's what, at that point in time, my best friend, who's still one of my best friends, and kind of like my older brother, was doing. His name is Sam. It's funny enough, he was dating my sister at the time, but he was an infantryman, and I just wanted to do what he was doing. So I became an infantryman, went the 03-11 route as he did, and in 2008, So I joined in 2007, did boot camp, got to my unit after SOY in 2008. I was lucky enough to, where timing was perfect, where I got essentially pre-screened to be selected to do the scout sniper indoctrination for the unit that I was assigned to, which was 1st Battalion, 4th Marines out of Camp Pendleton, California. And it was like a 3 to 4 day indoctrination or screener, whatever you want to call it. And I got selected after, the 4 days. And honestly, like, I think I was just too stupid to quit. And, one of the things that my seniors had said to me was that, you could teach anyone anything, but, you can't teach someone to have heart. So that was the very first thing that kind of stuck with me of like, oh, maybe I have something other than, being super stubborn. But was a PIG from 2008 to 2011. PIG stands for Professionally Instructed Gunman, which is essentially you're serving the Scout Sniper billet, but you're not actually a school-trained Scout Sniper. And then in 2011, I went to school in Hawaii and graduated. And then I was a Scout Sniper from 2011 to 2018 when I ultimately got out of the Marine Corps after just shy of 11 years of service. And during that time, it was from 2015 to 2018, I think a lot of my followers, a lot of my presence knows me for is that time that I was teaching at sniper school and also getting into the competition scene of like the precision, what we know as the precision rifle series today. I, was a very, very, I would say talented shooter in the sniper community with regard to, my ability behind a precision rifle. And I say that because, I try to say that not super arrogantly, but, because every school that I went to other than the basic course, like I was the high shooter from advanced, mountain, and urban. And so in my head, like I was like, oh, I've got a really good thing going on here. Like I can shoot a gun. And then in 2016, I was exposed to the precision rifle competition. During this time, I was the primary marksmanship instructor at sniper school at Camp Pendleton, California, the first MARDIV sniper school. And I went to my first comp and got absolutely smoke checked by just regular civilians. And, at that point, there's snipers out there that like will never show their face again, or will like take that as an opportunity to learn and figure out like, okay, hey, I'm supposed to be like the best when it comes to shooting a long gun. Clearly I am not. So we need to fix this. That was actually my mentality. And so I decided to just stick out with it. And through that process, I met a bunch of awesome people, a lot of, what I consider mentors down in the Southern California crew. I cannot stress enough of like how much they have impacted my life as a father and just like a regular person. But more importantly, like the tools they gave me to be very successful as a sniper instructor, teaching me the ways of, different cartridges, shooting a rifle in different types of environments and atmospheres. And, all I did was try to figure out, okay, hey, what do I feel like is applicable to competition, and how do I bring that over to, the sniper community? And that's what I did, and I started my Instagram around that time. And I think, during that time, obviously there's a lot of people already running like YouTube in the precision rifle space, but because like I had such a short attention span, I wasn't really paying attention to YouTube. It was just more like short form stuff. So that's what I really did through Instagram, because back then you could only post like 60-second videos. And so I, would record myself at competitions, and I'd post, little feedback or training critiques, more so for myself. But I attracted a lot of civilian shooters. I mainly wanted to do it for my sniper community because, again, when you're the West Coast, at the West Coast, there's, East Coast, there's Hawaii snipers, there's 29 Palm snipers. And I wanted to provide an outlet of education to not just, the snipers that I was teaching at sniper school on Pendleton. And also I wanted to, hopefully give a little bit of inspiration to snipers to go out and compete, because, if like, hey, if this sniper school instructor is going and competing and getting his ass kicked by this dentist, like I can do it too, So at the end of the day, I still feel like, to my core, that is why I create content for that young sniper to to go out there and hopefully not let his ego get to him and be like, hey, I can go out there, I can learn from these people, and I could become better behind a sniper rifle. Because, obviously being a sniper is not just shooting a precision rifle or shooting a sniper rifle. There's so many other things: communications, indirect fire support, controlling close air support, reconnaissance, all these things, right? But if you're able to just, subconsciously execute all the tasks required when it comes time to shooting a precision rifle, you're able to focus on so many more things when it comes to like operating, in a sniper team. So anyways, I'm sure I'll dive more into that as the podcast goes on. I went a little bit off my bio there for a little bit, so I know I'm past my 5 minutes marks, but anyways, after 2018, I got out of the Marine Corps, landed a job with a company called Gunworks. And if you're not familiar with Gunworks, they manufacture long-range hunting rifles, and that is over here in Cody, Wyoming. And never would I have thought when I got out of the Marine Corps or in my life that I would have lived in Wyoming, Cody, Wyoming. But that was the only opportunity that I had to, provide for my family at that point. My daughter was living with her mom, and my goal when I got out of the Marine Corps was to reestablish a relationship with her, because I'm so family oriented. I grew up in a big family. Like I wanted to make sure that Zoe knew that I was a part of her life. And, a big jump of me getting out of the Marine Corps at 11 years, or just shy of 11 years, was that fact. Cause a lot of you have asked, like, you're halfway there, what happened? It's like, I knew that if I would have re-enlisted after 10 years, that it would have been another 10 years. Like I wouldn't have just done another 4 years and then got out. Like I was going to be like, hey, I'm okay at this halfway point to just get out. But if I re-enlist, I know I'm going to stay in for the full 20. So I decided to get out. Anyways, I know I'm going down a rabbit hole. I'm past my 5-minute marker. But what I want to say is I ultimately got out, started teaching for Gunworks. That was an awesome experience. Learned a lot about the hunting community, learned a lot about the different hunting cartridges and the different applications to specific cartridges for big game, Western big game. I also, found a love for backcountry hunting during that time frame. But in 2020, I wasn't satisfied with just teaching hunters, because I wanted to, my passion at that point still, so this was now 4 years ago, was being able to teach snipers and give back to that community. So I co-founded a company called Modern Day Sniper with Kaylin Wojcik. It started off as a podcast, and I did that for 4 years, but something kind of changed in me. I started getting burned out with training, just because the training industry is a little lucrative with regard to, like, in order to do it really well, you got to kind of slay yourself on the road. And Zoe's getting older. I've got full custody of her now. She's been living with me since 2019. And I was just missing those little things. And I feel like because I was gone, I wasn't showing up for the students the way that I needed to. And so I just asked myself that it'd be good to take a step back. And at that point, I was also really diving into the creative side of cinematography, content creation. And took a step back from that earlier this year, April of 2024. And now I've just been online, long-range content creator, videographer, and I'm actually going to school for cinematography right now to get my bachelor's. But yeah, that is who I am. Sorry, it's a little over 5 minutes. Again, I'm sure I'll talk about more, a little bit of my background as this podcast go on, whatever episode. So if you're tuning into this first time now, you get a little brief, kind of down and dirty 10-minute bio on me. Then one thing I did want to talk about, my notes here, is the name of the podcast. Honestly, for the last couple of weeks or even a month, I've been like struggling to figure out a name for this podcast. And I'm just going to call it the Phillip Velayo podcast. And again, a lot of you know me on the precision rifle side of the house, but I didn't want to pigeonhole myself to just precision rifle related topics. There's a lot of things that I'm passionate about: cinematography, life, the decisions that I've made to get me where I'm at. So being a father, like that's huge. So hopefully I can provide more than just precision rifle advice of like, what should you build for your first rifle? Hopefully if you are listening to this, maybe I'm talking to that 25-year-old Phil Velayo that's like, he's still in the Marine Corps, has issues with, custody with his, his daughter and his ex-wife, and, and still not sure what to do with his life, whether to re-enlist, whatever the case might be, or whoever I can connect with other than just shooting. And offers some insight based off of whatever topics that I dive into. I know I'll have some guests on this podcast. There's a lot of, connections that I have within this industry, a lot of relationships that I've built that, I want to hear more of their story, right? Again, a lot of shooters, there's a lot of shooters that intrigue me just because their background that got them into precision rifle shooting that, doesn't relate to being a sniper, yet when you look at their skills behind a precision rifle, you're like, gosh, you are really capable and deadly with that thing. But, they're just average Joes. So, again, I'm sure I'll bring people onto the podcast. But yeah, before I get started into the, meat and potatoes of this podcast, if I've not done so already, go ahead and drop a comment down below and tell me what you guys want to hear about with this podcast as I move forward. I want to hear from you guys. I know like I said, I know a lot of you guys are going to ask about precision rifle stuff, but give me some other topics that I can talk about, like life, being a dad, cinematography, whatever you guys can think of. Just help me kind of talk about stuff that I might be passionate or can shed some light on. So yeah, so starting a podcast has been on my mind for a while. It just ate away at me, so I just decided to do it. If there's something scared of that you're not doing or you're scared of doing, just my biggest advice, you hear this a lot, just do it. One of my favorite quotes that I've heard lately that is just stuck with me is, if you're worried about the cost of going for it, you should see the price of staying exactly where you are. I'm going to say that again. If you're worried about the cost of going for it, you should see the price of staying exactly where you are. And that has hit me like a ton of bricks, and I say that because before that even, that ever related to me at some point, I was always the person that took the chances to just do whatever that opportunity that I had at that moment. I just seized it. Joining the Marine Corps at 18 years old, becoming an infantryman, doing the scout sniper indoctrination. There was 16 of us that started. I can't remember the exact number, but I remember at least half of the dudes dropped out, and when I started running screeners, as the chief scout, kids would try to join snipers, but then by the end of the 5 days, there'd only be, less than half. Sniper school, going through sniper school and teaching sniper school classes, you start off with a class of 32, and sometimes you get a class of 4, so usually I'm the person that just takes the chances and does it. But, lately I've been, on this kind of oh, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do that? Or should I do this? Trying to figure out these cost benefit analysis of doing specific things. And I realized that I just need to send it, so that's why I'm here jumping on this mic, talking about, where my journey has taken me. So, I know a lot of people that I've, been able to chat with, to shoot with, or and just have conversations with, that like they can really relate to that quote that I talked about, and it's hard to relate to them in the sense that, like, again, I've done everything that I've wanted to do up until, again, this point. But I know it sucks. I know I see it on their face. I hear it in their voice, in their conversations, and like, I don't want to be that person. 6 months from now, I don't want to be like, I should have done this. I'm just gonna do it. One of my favorite things that led me to join the Marine Corps as an infantryman was my sister. When I was leaving from MEPS, she had said, because my parents didn't want me to be an infantryman first and foremost, but my sister said, as I'm leaving from MEPS, she said, I don't want you to do anything where if you wake up a year or two from now, it's like, I should have done something else. And like, ever since then, I try to live my life by that. Like, I don't want to wake up and be like, I should have done something else. And I feel like I haven't done that. And I'm happy with this decision of being able to jump back on the mic and talk to you guys, hopefully about things other than precision rifle shooting related topics. So I'm going to move on to updates, because again, a lot of you guys are probably returning listeners. This is going to be on YouTube. So if you're watching this, you guys have already kind of followed me so far. But yeah, since I left Modern Day Sniper, Claire's pregnant, so I'm going to be a father to a baby boy. Claire is my girlfriend of 3.5 years, and she is. We're having a baby boy, and we're super excited for it. We've been planning. Been getting stuff together for a nursery, so that's been super fun. I get to relive being a dad for real this time, and I'll shed more layers of light on that, I'm sure, later in the episodes, but a lot to talk about and peel back on that onion. Zoe's a sophomore and she's starting to drive. It's crazy, so she's in school right now. Actually, probably gonna have to go pick her up here after this episode. But I can't be any more proud of Zoe. She is definitely, especially for those that know her history, she has really grown up to be a beautiful woman, young woman, and I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud to be her dad. I'm so it's so crazy to think that she's at the age where I had like my first girlfriend in high school. But she's doing great. She's I can't complain anymore. It's just awesome to be able to, it's the small things, to be able to take her to school, pick her up. And I know I missed a lot of that when I was traveling for classes and stuff. But I'm also going to school for cinematography. If you've been in any of my in-person classes, if you've heard any of my other podcasts, I talk about how passionate I am about becoming a teacher or being a teacher. I feel like I still am a teacher or educator at some point, but being a teacher, when I get done teaching people how to shoot a rifle, I know that I eventually want to end up in the education school system teaching high school kids, and that mainly goes back to my inspiration from a guidance counselor that is her name is Sheila Burns. She's the reason why I ended up graduating high school. But to be able to pay it forward that way is something that has always been with me. So again, going to school for cinematography to get a bachelor's degree in that, and then get my teacher credentials, and wherever I end up going to teach at the public school system. I'm not sure if it's going to be in Wyoming here, but I know that I'm at least taking advantage of the veteran educational benefits. And that's one thing that I cannot stress enough. If you're a veteran listening to this, please take advantage of the benefits that you do have when you get out. You earn your right to all those. If you have any questions about that, I can definitely help out and talk about that. If that's a topic you want me to talk about, I'm more than welcome to chat about it openly on a podcast, because I think there's not enough veterans taking advantage of, again, the the benefits that we have when we do get out of the military. So the cinematography school has been awesome. I've been learning a lot about lighting. I've been learning a lot about storytelling, and I've done a couple projects so far for school, and I'm really loving and enjoying the documentary style filmmaking. And lately I've been doing a lot of documentary style interview shoots and stuff like that. It's super fun. The process is so cool. I relate a lot of it to, my path as a precision rifle shooter, right? It's not about the gear. It's about, the basic fundamentals of lighting composition. You hear me say that all the time when you're, for my precision rifle shooters in class. So it's cool to see the parallels there. This summer, I had the opportunity of working with a company called Best of the West. If you're not unfamiliar with Best of the West, is again company very similar to Gunworks in the sense that they manufacture long range hunting rifles. I think a lot of people know them as like the pioneers or the birth of like Wyoming long range hunting, and also Huskimo scopes. But specifically Best of the West, that brand, Zach Boughton from Stone Glacier, him and I, cultivated a relationship during my time at Modern Day Sniper and him at Stone Glacier there. And he left Stone Glacier and pursued this job with Best of the West at that time. And he, pitched a project to me because he knew my creative strengths, and he knew I wanted to dive into the videography, cinematography, content creation. And I was like, dude, I'm all for it, and I told him, I was like, I'd love to just mainly be behind the camera. If you want me to be, in front of the camera for a few things, I'm all for it, but I would like to really just challenge my creative skills behind the camera. And my intern Dakota helped out with some of the video stuff, but finished 6 episodes. It's called Prep to Hunt. And absolutely, my only role in it was just videoing it and, putting my creative spin on it. From top down, it was, from my understanding, it was the leadership's idea to create a Prep to Hunt. And Zach saw the opportunity for me to, get my creative foot in the door. And it was awesome to work with guys like Zach and Jared Miller. Those guys are studs. If you guys are in the long range hunting space, you guys know those names. Jared is not only a phenomenal competitor, right? That's where I met actually Jared in the competition space, but he's just such a down to earth human being. So it was so cool to work with them for over the summer and over the past few weeks with this project. So check that out. It lives on the Best of the West YouTube. Again, Best of the West Prep to Hunt. There's 6 episodes, and you'll see my face every now and then dropping some precision rifle tidbits. I edited all 6 of those because I wanted to challenge myself of A, doing it first and foremost, and B, I would say like the meat and potatoes of each video is slightly the same, but like my challenge to myself was like creating a very unique introduction or like sizzler at the very beginning. So honestly, looking back at those edits, the hardest part or the most time consuming part was creatively thinking about an introduction. So something to think about as you guys are watching those series. So that was pretty much all summer. And then August, I went on an Alaska caribou hunt for 10 days. Me and the guys that were out there, we're going to make a film about it. It was super dope. My boy Josh, him and I served together as pigs at 1st Battalion, 4th Marines, as we were peers together. We deployed to Iraq together. He's out doing executive protection stuff, but he called me about 4 years ago. He's like, hey man, you want to do a caribou hunt? Do it yourself. And I'm like, let's do it. And because of some scheduling and stuff like that, it got pushed to the right to this year. And his boy Ian that he worked with and deployed with overseas, he's an Army Ranger, but he worked with contracting for a little bit. Such a good dude, super animated, really, really good storyteller. And then my really good friend, also one of my sponsors, Evan dextrays from Kala Swarovski. Again, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I've been a Kala shooter for about 8 years now. I have a really good relationship with those guys, and they continue to support me every step of the way. So stay tuned for a little hunt film on that. Again, just kind of testing the waters, getting my feet out there, just trying to figure out what style of content that I want to create other than just precision rifle related stuff, because I feel like I've got that on lockdown. I just want to challenge myself, So, and then most recently this past weekend, I filmed Kyle Hansen with Outdoor Internationals on his antelope hunt. He and his outfitter, Pat Grinder with At Ease Hunting, that's the outfit out of Casper. Spent a couple days with them. Super awesome weekend. We spent all day. I didn't make the scout day. I was just there for the hunt day, and I learned a lot from just picking Patrick's his name, Patrick's brain about antelope, and just seeing how passionate he is about the animals and his job as an outfitter. Patrick is also a former Marine, a little bit before my time. But, I love how he came up with the name At Ease Hunting, so did a little interview on him that hopefully you guys will see in a couple months when I chop that up. But Kyle is awesome. He's a hunting consultant for Outdoor International. So if you're looking to book a hunt, reach out to them. That's who Josh actually booked his our caribou hunt through. So I've got nothing, and it's crazy enough how small this world is. Kyle and I have some mutual friends. Patrick and I have mutual friends in the shooting community. So it's cool to see all that kind of connect in such a way. And Kyle made a really beautiful shot. It was only at 230 yards, but I love how efficient he was with his rifle system, getting into position, his workflow. I mean, it was all top notch. You could tell that he's very proficient with his rifle. He knows his gear, it's very rare to see an execution like that in terms of like not executing the antelope, but execution of just basic riflemanship tasks and being able to execute a good clean shot. So and the last thing that I'll talk about that's kind of on my mind, that actually when I went to the gym this morning. My really good friend, Matthew Solowinski, again, I've done podcasts with him on all the platforms, and I'm sure he'll be on here. Matt Solowinski and I go way back. He's one of my best friends. We served together as snipers in 1st Battalion, 4th Marines. And then we taught together for a little bit at sniper school at the tail end of my career. And he was just starting at sniper school, not his career, because he's actually more senior than I am. He's still in the Marine Corps, and he's diving, he's getting his feet wet into the competition side of the house. And, he was giving me, he just shot a match over the weekend, and he was just, giving me some debrief points with regard to like his performance. And it was cool to again, see that from Matt, just because, Matt is a very, very good shooter. He's a great shooter, right? Like when it came to Urban Sniper, him and I went to Urban Sniper together. I mean, we were literally neck and neck for high shooter. And there was one qualification that he always talks about where like he messed me up on, and that's a whole nother story in itself. But great shooter, phenomenal human being. He's the type of guy that like if you ask him to do it, he will execute it more flawlessly than anyone else that I know, and like, will over deliver on most things. But anyways, he is a very, obviously seasoned sniper. I know that when he goes to, trainings and he demonstrates in front of snipers, like he is one of, if not one of the best shooting marksmanship snipers in the Marine Corps right now. And unfortunately, he didn't do as well as he wanted to. He didn't place as well as he wanted to at this match because, again, it's a different style of shooting. But for everyone that's listening, and maybe you're a young sniper listening to this, like if that is one of the Marine Corps' best snipers, and like he is, if you ever watch him shoot a sniper rifle, you're like, man, that guy can shoot. But he didn't do as well as like the regular civilian population. Like I would take a hard look at like your skills of like, gosh, like if he's really good and he doesn't even hold a candle to the competition world, like where do I sit, right? So that's something to put in perspective, I think. But a couple notes that I have here with him are just small things, magazine issues, internal clock, mid-stage diagnosing, all these small things that, again, take time to build as a competitive shooter, right? The biggest thing that I would say when it comes to learning how to shoot a competition, a precision rifle competition, is learning how to be on your own and be self-sufficient as a shooter. Because doctrinally, as a Marine sniper, you're taught to work in a two-man team. But the reality of it is, you should be able to confidently run your gun by yourself and spot and call your own misses. And that's the beautiful thing about competition, is it forces you to do that. If you're shooting like a PRS style comp, if you're shooting like a team comp, obviously then, there's a bunch of team comps nowadays like NRL Hunter and Competition Dynamics and Coleman's Creek, all this stuff, Real World Sniper Challenge, all this stuff that's out there that used to SOC. But I'm talking specifically like PRS style events. It forces you to learn how to shoot by yourself. And, you start picking up these small things that are like hindering your performance, right? That you wouldn't really think otherwise when it comes to like running a sniper rifle, right? Because you're not putting these specific courses of fire that challenge these things. Because, when you go to a Marine Corps range, like depending on the staff NCOIC or who the chief scout, depending on their level of training, they're going to put together a course of fire that doesn't ever really emulate real world stuff. I know that from experience because I was that person until I started getting into competition. Tripod rear, we talked about dialing in the wrong direction. So all these things that I want to dive deeper into the next episode. I feel like I've already spent up a little bit more than I wanted to on this podcast. This is my first podcast. So maybe that's what I'll talk about in the next one is diving a little bit deeper into these notes that Matt and I shared. If he's okay with it, I know he's going to be okay with it, and hopefully, for those top level competitors or those competitors out there that are trying to figure out a way to get to that next level of competition, hopefully again, gives you insight on, refocusing your training efforts the next time you're at the range. So, that is pretty much all I have for this one. Like I said, I got to go pick Zoe up from school. I know it was a lot. I know it's kind of scattered still, precision rifle focus related, a little bit of background on myself because this is my first episode. So depending on, like where you listen, and I get this from the previous podcast that I've run, is most people that find my podcast will always go to the very first episode. So depending on which episode that you first hear, I'm curious to see, how that journey is to whenever I stop doing podcasts, first and foremost. But if this is your first time jumping into episode 1, welcome to the show. I hope you enjoy it. I hope that I'm able to provide value, whether it's, again, precision rifle related or life related, anything. If you're coming in here for cinematography stuff, I'd be really surprised, but that'd be super cool because that's definitely a goal of mine. So if you find me through the content creator community, drop a comment below. Hopefully, again, you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what kind of topics you guys want to hear in the future. And I'm already looking forward to jumping back on the mic for episode 2. Thanks, guys. And remember, you have control.